Hey, this is David. Welcome to the channel, which is all about helping you express yourself a little bit better on the instrument. Today, we're going to look at a few concepts that I found so useful when improvising over the blues. They're going to get you out of the typical, licks that you tend to play all the time. They're going to help you organize your thoughts, and it's really going to help you out. So the first concept or idea is to have a theme. That is really going to help you organize your thoughts. It could be as simple as you want. Now, the blues we're going to work on today is in A minor. We have simple chords. We have an A minor 7, we have a D minor 7. Later on in the progression, we have an E minor 7. And then at some point, we'll have an E 7, sharp 9, the Jimi Hendrix chord. Kind of an altered sound to go back to that A minor 7. So over this, the obvious choice is to use an A minor pentatonic scale. That's what we all do. Now, some of us go a little bit outside of that, which we'll cover later, but that's what we're going to use for our theme. We need something that the listener can relate to, something simple and recognizable. The simplest is going to be the better. So we're going to use that A minor pentatonic scale, and just a few notes are enough. Something that is repeatable and something that you can remember. Maybe something like this. Just a few notes, right? And I'm going to repeat that. I can repeat it on the next chord. It's going to work too. Check this out. It kind of takes a different meaning because of what's happening in the back, that D minor 7, but it's also going to work. And of course, we can go back to that A minor 7 with that. So the reason we're having a theme is to help us look ahead. You can kind of see an improvisation, like let's say we have, 3 minutes to jam, to improvise. See this as a river to be crossed. Now, several options. You could jump into the water and then just try to make it to the other side. Most of us will if we rely on the licks, but we'll get to the other side pretty tired and drained and ready to rest. And not only that, but the listener has no idea where you're going with this. It's going to get really bored. Having a theme is kind of like strategically placing big rocks along the direct path that you need to take to cross that river. So you can rest on these rocks. And the difference is pretty obvious when you're playing. You now have places you can rest. You could start with a rock if you want, which is the theme. Okay, I'm kind of recharged. I'm gonna sort of swim a little bit to the next rock. I'm swimming. Okay, now I can rest there. It just allows you to look ahead and not stress about it too much. And when you get tired, go back to that theme. Now, once you have a theme, a great thing to add to that is the awareness of the chords that you're playing. Now, like we said, an A minor pentatonic scale is going to work over all the chords of our progression here. It's going to work fine, but if we look at the chords, we'll see that some notes within these chords are not found in the minor pentatonic scale. So if we look at that first position, A minor pentatonic, and for example, that second chord, which is D minor 7, this note right here, which is on the second string, 6th fret, is not found within that minor pentatonic scale. That's a sweet note. That's one of those notes that if you manage to land on it when the chord happens, magic happens. I promise that your improv is going to be a lot more in control, and the listener is going to be aware of that, and he's going to pay more attention. Check this out. So you got our first chord here, A minor 7, A minor pentatonic. I can use my theme, my first rock. I'm going to step on it right now. Here comes the D7. landed on one of those notes, I'm a lot more in control. And my next tip, pay attention, is so important. It's silence. When you don't say anything, the anticipation starts to grow, and what you say next has more impact. And that's exactly what we're going to use here when we improvise. Silences. So short phrases, very short phrases, just a few notes, just like the theme we built. That's a few notes and that's it. And I'm not playing right away after that. I'm letting the listener digest what I'm telling him. And then I'm starting a new phrase. A good way to do that and to know if your theme is too long or not is to breathe out as you're playing. If you're running out of breath and you've got to take another breath, your theme or your lick, your idea is too long. So take a breath, play. I got to take a breath here. It's going to make a musical statement that is a lot closer to the human voice. And that's what we can relate to. So we're going to try this over the backing track. Short phrases, silences. Also, you can whisper things. You know what that was now. All right, the other thing you can do, and we all kind of do it, but not to its full extent, and that's a shame, is using blue notes, plural. The blue note, we all know the blue note, right? So if we're back in that A minor pentatonic scale in its first position, which is 2 notes per string, we have that blue note between the perfect 4th and the perfect 5th. So right here, right? And we have another one right here on the 3rd string, 8th fret. Blue note, blue note. So the minor pentatonic scale plus that blue note is called the minor blues scale. Now those blue notes are outside of the scale. They don't sound good. If I land on it over the backing track, it's gonna sound like crap. It's like unresolved. Oh, please resolve this. You want this. You want it to be resolved, right? Now this next trick is something that I found a few years ago. I was recording a blues workshop, and as I was improvising, I found this thing. It was kind of by accident, but then when I re-listened to it, it just blew my mind. So I'm gonna share it with you. And that workshop has tons of other stuff. I'll link to it at the end of this video, but check out this tip. It's really gonna help you out. We're gonna think about a blue note as a note that is somewhat close to the original scale and that is kind of tensed. So how can we do that? Well, we can simply take any note within that minor pentatonic scale and approach it with the note below. Or a note above. And so forth, right? So basically any note you're gonna play within that minor pentatonic scale can be approached with a note below or a note above. So we're gonna try that. We're gonna try to add a little bit of rhythm stuff to it. Without rhythm, it's gonna sound clumsy and you're really gonna hear that these notes are kind of outside. You don't want that. You wanna approach it like a rhythm element thing. All right, speaking of blue notes, now that you know what they are, there's a way to approach them that sounds, in my opinion, so expressive. And the master of expression in my opinion, is Jeff Beck, and he does that kind of thing a lot. So basically what we're gonna do is start with one of those blue notes, which is only a half step away from a correct note, and we're gonna bend that wrong note, or that blue note, to make it non-blue. So in other words, we're gonna pick any of these blue notes. For example, I'll pick this one right here, okay? This note right here, which is on the 3rd string, 6th fret. It's a blue note, right? It's yuck, but I'm gonna make it right by bending it a half step. I can also pre-bend it. It's a little trickier, but it has a lot of expression. So let's try that in context. And again, use a theme. And some silences. Blue note thing. Land on the notes of the chords. Maybe whisper some statements. And back to the theme. This next trick is gonna blow your mind. It's amazing. It has to do with the way that the pentatonic scale is built on the fretboard, very narrow position. And you know what? I actually covered that in that workshop. So why don't you just watch it? It's right here. It's completely free. And it's really gonna blow your mind. It's all about the blues, it's gonna go further. I'll meet you in the workshop. It's pre-recorded. You can watch it anytime. Click right here to watch it.